Mike Gill, state of corruption. I literally had to escape to get to Washington. No kidding. They were outside my house, roadblock at the end of my street. I almost took a boat across the lake to get here. But they had a weak moment. But I'm in Washington right now, switching hotels day to day. Now, what is so important that I have to say that this corruption has to stop me at all costs, including taking my life, which they have tried several times. Now, before I get into a plan to tell you why they're so concerned, I have got to ask you again, as U.S. citizens, as people of this country, who our common denominator is we all love our children. I need you to take a stand, and I need you to separate our differences, whether it to be politics. This isn't about politics. When President Trump got elected, do you believe there was no corruption before him and that there's not there now? Of course, before Obama. Who knows how long this corruption goes, but we've all suffered from it. So let's put our political positions aside. Let's take race. I mean, are you kidding me? We have got to be united. We're all suffering. The corrupt don't see color, they see money. That's it. And religion, listen, we've all got together, whatever our religious beliefs are. We obviously believe the corruption is bad. All right, so let's try this again, because I'm going to need all your help. And if you give me all your help, you watch and see what we can do. Who am I? I've been doing this for 10 years. I've done over 500 videos. My mother was a handicapped woman who taught catechism. So I know about bullies and people who aren't kind. I went to a seminary to be a priest and then seen too many possibilities of life. So from a one-bedroom apartment with an education just to be a priest, I built the largest mortgage brokerage firm in United States. And that's according to Fannie Mae. Everything I'm saying you can check on. Listen, there isn't many things good about being 61 years old. But I come with a resume, all right? The largest brokerage firm in the United States. Horse racing. I started the Sport of Kings. And from being homeless as a 19-year-old, sleeping in my car on exit 1 on Route 93, I became the world champion of the king of sports. I beat the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. No kidding. Won more races than any man who's ever lived from being homeless. So you see, I believe what seems impossible may just be possible. And I feel that this is one of those times. Listen, I didn't pick for this period of my life where I was already a wealthy man. I could have lived under a palm tree the rest of my life. But with the same insight that made me those millions and built those companies up is the same insight that I saw corruption. So I reached out to the FBI, the DEA. I reached out to Washington Department of Justice. I went through a series of states officials to find out that none of them were helping, only to figure out that they were part of this corruption of a massive quantity, absolutely. But who was better built for the job? I knew the players. I had the money to be able to fight them. And I had the insight to find them and to calculate and put a plan together, as I have now, to combat this. Listen, I didn't want it to be me. I got drafted. But now we're here. I'm going to play this to win. Play it to the end. Play it right to the bone. I have not quit in the face of great danger and $50 million. All right. Now this is how we're going to do it. over these years, I've had depositions with past attorneys. I've had emails and text messages that were direct evidence, incriminating evidence. Enough for all these people to put themselves on a list and offer me 50 for their own releases. So you know that we have damaging evidence. I have Tim Campus of the IRS on tape saying there's a mole in my company. This is the highest level of the IRS being incriminated and working for a senator, Senator Jean Shaheen of the state of New Hampshire. So what I'm going to give you, these witnesses, takes out Senator Ayotte, Senator Shaheen, gives you the AG's office, gives you the banking department in each of our states, because this is going to be a model that protects drug dealers. When have you heard across this country? Now, you've heard of drug czars in Mexico. You really don't believe that they're here in this country? Of course they are. And the money that they generate buys them protection. Politicians get elected by money. They're the ones who have the money. Again, people under the age of 50, the largest cause of death is addiction. How much money do you think that drives in? And that's what buys your politicians and buy your protections. And under that umbrella is the corruption in the insurers. Right. We get these guys, we get them too. They're your fraud too. They're the same umbrella that protects the drug dealers and protects the insurers. 80% of people who are on drugs, who get addicted, started pharmaceutically from doctors. Right. You don't think they know what they're doing? Of course they do. So here's the plan. You ready? Immunity. Immunity. I'm going to show you a face of a woman in horse racing named Stephanie Beattie. She was one of the ones that I called out as a corrupt and was a ringleader in the state of Pennsylvania. And I'm feeling you, Pennsylvania. I know how corrupt you are. She was working for state officials. Feds gave her immunity. She said 98% of the people in racing on that track were corrupt and cheating. Most certainly herself, at the very highest levels. See what immunity can give you? Now I'm going to give you approximately 70 names. If we give these people, any 2 or 3 of them, immunity, and if you don't believe what I'm saying, what's the problem with giving immunity? There's nothing to lose. But I am telling you, with this immunity, and with the evidence that I have on all these individuals, and we sit down with a federal prosecutor, I don't even need the president. President Trump, you give me a couple federal prosecutors with the ability of immunity, I'll do this myself. Listen, I caught them all myself. I know exactly what to do and I know what to tell them. For instance, we could start like this. You ready? We're very forgiving people. We're willing to put all this bias, your corruption with drugs and the courts, the judges, so we're going to forgive you. We're going to give you immunity. But if you don't tell us exactly everything you know, and to make it absolute truth, because if we find out you're lying, well, we're going to send you to federal prison for a long, long time. Now remember who these people are. They're all a bunch of cowards and bullies. Because they don't care about anybody is the exact reason why we can turn them. You ready? Time's up. They're giving it everything they know. And I'm telling we can reach out to the drug dealers like Aganos and even Shaheen themselves and say, hey, what do you want to give us? You want to give us every contact you have? Every campaign you were involved with? We're forgiving people. Now we may send you back to Greece, but we're going to forgive you. Not if you lie. And it all falls apart. You understand? All these witnesses, we're going to have a little reel through them. Each one of them gives us important, vital information that goes through each of our states. We're going to get the AGs, we're going to get the banking, we're going to get the drug dealers, we're going to get the FBI, we're going to get the DEA. That's right, filthy corrupt. Why do you think they keep turning back evidence to me and said they won't use the word investigate? They knew if they did use the word investigate, they'd go to jail. See? We're going to put them in jail anyway, but we're going to give them an opportunity to sing like a canary. Right? So, I have those. I have the information. I have the tapes. What we're going to do is ask you. I've read your comments. You don't have money. You're fearful. The time. Well, you don't have to put too much time in this. I'm going to give you contacts. Right. And these contracts, for instance, to the Department of Justice, Attorney General Sessions, to the White House. And we're going to say, we'd like you to sit down and meet with Mike Gill. At your convenience. Mike's in Washington, and he's going to stay here meeting with all of you. Now, if you don't want to meet with Mike Gill, can you tell us why? Right? Because if I give you this information and we offer them immunity, they all go away. No kidding. One's going to turn on another. I want you to remember this. The size of the corruption that seems impossible is the way to beat them. It's the weight of them. It's the amount of the people that corrupt. They will start turning on each other. And then what we do is we're a model. And we use this in each of our states. Because I guarantee you it's set up equally. These guys are businessmen. That's why we beat them with a plan. Because they beat us with a plan. Over these years, these lawyers became judges, became politicians, have taken over, have protected the drug dealers, the insurance companies. I am telling you this. If we take a chunk of corruption out of our government, how much money would there be left? Are they taking 50%, 40%? Could we have affordable health care? Could we have a smaller government? Could we be taxed lower? Of course we can, because we're all paying for corruption and not getting justice. The cops are working with the drug dealers. Have you guys figured that out? They are the street people. I have 5 state troopers that are witnesses. I met with multiple cops who want to do the right thing, who have all explained the same story. So, you're going to see these witnesses. You're going to see what they get us. The judges they get us, the politicians, the FBI, the IRS agents. So you're going to see 2 lists. But I am going to ask you to communicate, whether through email, whether through social media, a phone call, and say, Mike Gill's in Washington, we want you to review his evidence. You do that. And I promise you, this will start to tumble. Not in just New Hampshire, but in every state. They're doing it in every state. This is the mechanism. And if we can get them to turn around and get judges and attorney generals and start talking, we can start flipping this corruption throughout this country. Please stay on this and watch those names. I want those people on those lists to see that you saw them. And I want those investigators and those people in the White House and the AG's office you know that these are important witnesses, that given immunity will change the history of this country. Mike Gill, State of Corruption.